Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Dash. The double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Aina. The title of this video is Trump invaded Venezuela and kidnapped Nicolas Maduro. And I basically took this title directly from this video here, right? Because that's exactly what happened, right? Everyone is saying the same thing over here, but that's what happened. It's breaking news because this is a new war, right? And we don't know how it'll pan out. We understand and know that we're at the end of this thing, right? He saw the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed, right? That's second Ezra 9:6, I believe. Let me make sure. All right, second Ezra 9:6. So I get 6 and 9. It says for Esau, so this is second Ezra 6 and 9. It says for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed, right? So right now, who's ruling the current world, the current world structure are the Edomites, right? Esau, the so-called white man, and they're going to cause the end of the world to come. And that's going to be done by nuclear destruction. We see something. It's like I was thinking about some scriptures, but we can go to Daniel 4 regarding the last kingdom. All right, or let me go to 2 actually. Right, we're in the revised Roman Empire. Right, the last kingdom to rule is the Roman Empire, and we're in the revised Roman Empire because basically, for some of the scriptures, the Roman Empire had a bruise, right, a deadly wound that was healed. Right, that's when the Roman Empire fell during the time of the Byzantine Empire when the Israelites ruled, and ultimately they came back into power during the Renaissance period. Right, and now they're living out their final days. All right, and I'm about to read this, but I want to grab this other scriptures. Right, okay, second 11. Now grab this next. All right, so the Roman Empire says, Daniel 2:40, in the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron break in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise. It says, and whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. But there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. All right, so it's divided, on the ruling of what's happening, and that's why you have things like the EU and NATO breaking up and they're arguing and bickering. They're saying things like they're not spending enough money, who's to blame, this, that, and the third. They're even arguing over the territories now. Trump wants Denmark and things like that. That belongs to the EU, NATO, right? And that's the beast system that this revived Roman Empire has set up, right? And they're divided about how they're going to proceed further. But their strength relies in their military. Their strength lies within their military. It says, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. It says, and as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And once again, we see all the time they have these disaster press conferences, like the people like to say, where they're making laws and decrees, and we can clearly see that it's messing up America. America is actually losing. America is doing very bad, and the other nations are now, gathering amongst themselves and basically doing better and trying to get around the American dollar. But then when America does things like bomb Venezuela, it's like, damn, I looked at that, and I'm not a military guy or anything like that. So when I looked at it, I was like, okay, so America went in quick as hell, captured the king of Venezuela, which is Maduro, right, the president, and they left. So I'm like, damn, they won, right? So that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, God damn, that was quick. But I guess I was watching a lot of videos and people were saying that they have to actually go in there and hold the area, and all of that. And they said there's going to be fighting and things like that. So, we'll just have to see, we'll have to see, because ultimately what this guy's going to say in this video is that the only reason why he's going to war in Venezuela to get the oil is because they're about to go to war with Iran, which the scriptures do tell us. And that war in Iran is going to cause problems, right? Because ultimately it's going to spiral into World War III. The Strait of Hormuz is going to be shut down and things like that, which this is what this guy is telling us. But we know for a fact that they want to war Iran. So he's saying that they're taking the Venezuela because they're going to need another resource of oil when the war in Iran happens. All right. So anyway, Daniel 2:42, it says, and as the toes of the feet were part of iron, part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. It says, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And we see that they're completely divided. They're divided with the people here, right? They're upset about this dude, the New York mayor. They just got sworn in. They're assuming he's anti-Semitic already, right? And all of these different things. Okay, so that's what it's talking about. So we're in the last kingdom. It is felon. It says, verse 44, in the days of these kings shall Yahweh Bashem Yahushua of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Now, this will be a New Jerusalem, all right, which we'll get, most likely we'll get. So after this kingdom falls, the new kingdom, which will be our kingdom, will be set up. All right, and that's what we're fastly approaching, right, as we see these wars and the wars. Because pursuant to Isaiah 13, it says, Isaiah 13:4, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations, gather together, the Lord Yahweh Bashem shall host and muster the host of the battle. So the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is mustering the host of the battle, right? He's stirring up the nations and gathering them together for World War III. And we're clearly seeing that play out. All right, and once again, this is breaking news that has just happened, so we have yet to see the response from people like China and Russia, which, we'll just have to see what happens. Because ultimately the scriptures tell us that, the weak will begin to say that they're strong. We understand and know that Russia and China has ties with Venezuela regarding the oil. Trump has said that he's going to, basically sell China oil, not Russia, because they have a problem with Ukraine. So that's stirring up more problems and things like that. But we have to see. Okay. It says, Second Ezra chapter 11 and verse 38. It says, "Hear thou, I will talk with thee, and the highest shall say unto thee, Are not thou it that remaineth of the four beasts, which we just read in Daniel 2, whom I made to reign in my world, that the end of their times might come through them?" Right? It says, "And the fourth came and overcame all the beasts that were past, and had power over the world with great fruitfulness." Now, this is the revised Roman Empire, right? This is America and American beast system that involves NATO and EU. But in these last days, we can see that crumbling, right? Because the scriptures tell us that that will happen, and it's happening, But it says, "And the fourth came and overcame all the beasts that were past, and had power over the world with great fruitfulness, and over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression, and so long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit." All right. And so that's that fourth beast, the revised Roman Empire. And like I was saying, ultimately, they're crumbling now because they're partly strong and partly broken, right? And we have reached the part where the end is going to come through them, just like the scripture is telling us here, right? So that's why you see the NATO and the EU breaking up, right? This is 17, and get 16. So it says in the 10 horns, Revelation 17 to 16, it says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, right? These 10 horns represent NATO EU, right? They have given their power and their strength unto the beast, as it says in the 13th verse. But like once again, they're because they're so divided, they're pulling apart from each other. And America's like, I don't need you, basically, right? And that's another snare and trap that the Most High Yahweh, Bashmi Awashai, is putting forth for this devil, right? Revelation 17 and 16, it says, in the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For Yahweh, Bashmi Awashai, have put it in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, unto the words of Yahweh shall be fulfilled. Right? So let me grab this other scripture. So once this place is burned with fire and all of that, New Jerusalem comes, and that is basically us. That's pursuant to Matthew 24 and 30, at the destruction of Babylon, which will be through nuclear missiles, right? We here in America, that's of the Lord's elect, will need to be beamed up in the chariots of Yahweh Bashmi Shad, so we won't be destroyed. Right? The scriptures tell us in Job, out of 6 troubles he will save us, yeah, 7 shall no evil touch us. Right? Let me grab that. Job 5 and 19 says, he shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yet and 7 shall there no evil touch thee. So basically the 7th trump, right? The last trump to sound will be the nuclear missiles, being shot here, in America. And we will need to be delivered up, right? Into those chariots, and we'll witness the devastation of Babylon the Great, right? That lake of fire, and then we will come down. All right. This is I mean, you just get it right here. It says the new heaven and new earth, right? Revelation 21 and 1, it says, and I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Yahweh, Bashmi Awashai, out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of Yahweh Bashmi Awashai with men, and he will dwell with them, right? And they shall be his people, and Yahweh Bashmi Awashai himself shall be with them and be their power. And Yahweh Bashmi Awashai shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. Yeah, and ultimately that is New Jerusalem, right? That is the new kingdom, spoke about, the divine kingdom spoke about in Daniel, to the next kingdom, like I got earlier. Right, so read this again, Daniel 2 and 44. It says, and in those days of these kings shall Yahweh Bashmi Awashai of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. So after the fourth kingdom, which I gave you in 2nd Edges 11:39, it broke all the other kingdoms. The next kingdom will be us, and we're going to break all the other kingdoms, right? And we're going to last forever and ever. It says, for as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great power Yahweh Bashmi Awashai have made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter. And the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure. All right, so right now we're witnessing the final end, right? This devil, as he prepares to make war with Iran, so which will happen. And it, like, once again, this dude is saying that he's preparing to get another source of oil with this attack on for Iran. And once again, breaking news is just happened, right? So just play this.
To be a president of peace, and that he was going to end all the wars on day one. We have officially invaded Venezuela. First, we're going to start off with Trump's post. The United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolas Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. This operation was done in conjunction with U.S. law enforcement. Details to follow. There will be a news conference today at 11 o'clock a.m. at Mar-a-Lago. Thank you for your attention to this matter. In this bombing, we also, yes, we killed a bunch of civilians, but we also killed the Venezuelan defense minister's 24-year-old daughter in her sleep. We bombed her to smithereens, turned her into dust while she was sleeping, an innocent 24-year-old girl. We've got a bunch of footage here compiled by Midas Touch. Let's get a look. Everything you're watching, by the way, is illegal under U.S. and international law. Congress is moot. Congress no longer has power. You do not live in a democracy. You live in a dictatorship where we have a Christian theocratic fascist as our Führer. His name is Donald J. Trump. Please.
Yeah, and the scriptures told us that this would happen, right? And it's all happening now, right? Isaiah 19:1, it says the burden of Egypt, right? This is the burden of America. It says the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, right upon a swift cloud, right? This swift cloud is a chariot. It says, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence. And the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it, right? Ultimately, those nuclear missiles, right? And the destruction that's about to happen. It says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. So this is Americans against Americans. Even people now are at odds of what's happening regarding this attack on Venezuela. Some veterans, like I said, I watched, many videos as this was happening, got different, opinions and points of views and all of that. You got veterans coming out saying that, this is illegal, that they're saying that the U.S. is not behind you on this. You got people saying it's going to be complete hell, Afghanistan 2.0, right? They're going to go in there, it's going to be a slaughter, a lot of things. So someone's like, yeah, the MAGAs are happy and everyone else is upset. It says, and I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city and kingdom against kingdom. And all this is going to intensify, right, as we inch closer towards the end, right? It says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. Yeah, the spirit is done. People are through, right? And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. That's why people are saying things like, we're not behind you. The people are saying, oh, we're not behind the troops going into Venezuela and things like that. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. Once again, they're partly strong and partly weak. The counsel is gone. The different things that they're doing, because what they're doing, is it's illegal, and people care about that type of stuff. Like you're going against your own laws, right? So you have people in power that cares about it, especially on the international court where you have these other countries on the road. They're even talking about what's stopping now China from just going to Taiwan and taking the leader and saying, okay, Taiwan is mine. They're saying what's stopping Russia, from going into Ukraine and just taking Zelensky and saying, okay, now Ukraine is mine. So, it's bad what they're doing because the laws that they have put in place, right? So they're going against their own laws and things like that. And so people are upset. It says, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, said the Lord Yahweh, Bashim Shai, Lord of hosts. This is what's taking place now in these last days. Everything that this guy, Near 47, does is against the laws, right? He's no longer ruling like how a regular government should rule, right? And that's why the scriptures say he had two horns like a lamb, but he spake as a dragon. That is intensifying here. Where is this at? Let's see. Slocky, just bear with me. All right here. Revelation 13:11 says, I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. So this goes into your Democratic and Republican Party. But ultimately, it was always just one goal, right? And we can see how that goal was always the least of flock, which is Israel drawing America out to the battle because Israel had a plan. So this goes back way back since the beginning of the 1948. You had Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Iran, all these different things. The Greater Israel Project wasn't something that was just new. This was been the plan, right? But it's now the Most High Yahweh Bashim Shai is causing their own tongue to fall upon themselves, right? And the shameful spewing is being put on their glory, and ultimately they're at the end. So the nations are seeing that this dude is the devil. They're seeing what he's trying to accomplish. So we all see, and that's why war is going to happen. There's no secret that America is causing problems in Iran, causing problems in Israel, causing problems, American Israel causing problems in Iran, causing problems in Syria, causing problems in Afghanistan. Then you got, the towers and all these different things that have taken place. It's all because of this one goal. And the ultimate goal is the New World Order, right? Where the market of beast, MOTB, will be implemented. And we're at that time now, right? World out of chaos, complete hell, right? And for a lot of these places, how easy is it going to be for that system to be put in place in places they have conquered, right, all around the world? Easy, basically. So Revelation 13:11, it says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. The draconian measures, right, that's putting forth these executive decrees that's crippling, the system. People are losing jobs and things like that. It's so, as you can see, the things that's been happening around the world regarding regime change, America is doing that here, like slow motion. Like you don't even know. You're just a frog in the boiling pot. Nothing's getting. They keep telling you that it's getting better, but it's not getting better. All right, it's getting worse to the point where you're going to be fighting in the street, like they're fighting in. Or they're fighting in what is it? Iran. That's what's happening to America. It says, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. That goes into what I was speaking about earlier, the Roman Empire. America is the revived Roman Empire. That deadly wound was healed and is back as America, right? It says, and he doeth great wonders, so that he make a fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. What is it? Nagasaki. Slacky, I can't pronounce the words right now. Yeah, Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Okay, it says, and he doeth great wonders, so that he make a fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. That was the nuclear bombs that America had first, right? America was the first person to have the nuclear bombs. And they dropped them thing, and no one wanted to make war, with America, right? Because of the fact, and so I read it. Let me see. It says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that he should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword in their lip. So America is, producing the New World Order, the MOTB, through the power and the might that they have, ultimately. All right. And that goes into the MOTB. So yeah, like I was saying, two horns like a lamb, that's the Democratic Republican Party, but he spake as a dragon, and that's that cruel Lord. It's not like, oh, you have a chance, there's two parties, or wherever the case may be. That's not the case, right? Isaiah 19:4 says, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai, the Lord of hosts. Right, and that's what's taking place.
Stop pretending that you live in a democracy where your elected representatives can prevent the Führer from waging a foreign war and sending your young family members to go fight and die in a foreign jungle. You do not live in a democracy. You live in an authoritarian dictatorship. This is non-negotiable. If you disagree with me, you are both wrong and inferior. We need the 25th Amendment invoked today. We need Donald Trump dragged out of the Oval Office, literally physically dragged out of the Oval Office, charged and thrown in prison for the rest of his fucking life.
Yeah, and as you can see, as he's about to fill his belly, every hand the wicked shall come upon him. And that's what's happening, right? A lot of these dudes, like this guy, he doesn't know much, he doesn't know much. He has different opinions on what's happening in the world, but he is, shining a light on different things. All right. And that's just the wicked coming upon him. This is Job 20 and 22. It says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be increased. So that's what's happening to America right now, position of difficulty. It says, every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. The wicked is your laborer, right? Mel, right? It says laborer, suffer, wretched one, labor, workman, suffer. Yeah, totally. So like I was saying, a lot of these people that's making these videos, they have lost their jobs, and different things like that. And all they can do is speak, just speak about what's happening, right? And not only that, take to the streets. Like this dude, he says things that, leads to basically, these, people coming up against their government and things like that. That's what the scriptures talk about, sedition and things like that. Right, which we, the Israelites, have nothing to do with that. We're just reporting on it. But you can clearly see how the prophecies are true. All right, that sedition and things like that will take place. Is it second Ezra? Second Ezra 15 and 14, it says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And that's soon to come to America, right? Because what they're doing is, trying to bring in a new world order, and they're destabilizing America, right? The dollar is crumbling. All these different things they're trying to move over and shift over. Tradition is, just trying to, incitement against the government. And that's what they do, right? Because it's in them. That's going back to the Isaiah 19, where it says American will be against American. I just gave you this one where it says they shall not regard king or princes, right? You recently had the military personnel move to military housing, right? They left their regular homes, they moved to military housing. It was just a report on, some type of military thing, which I can grab it real quick. Let me see.
That they targeted.
So regarding the personnel, them not regarding personnel, it says red alert, U.S. military officers attacked in Washington. So these people wasn't on a military housing and they got attacked. But mind you, this is Space Force. I don't know why the hell they attacked Space Force, but that's what they did.
This is big breaking news. U.S. military officers have just been attacked. Their homes have been destroyed, burned to the ground, and they've even lost their pets, they're saying. This is the next string of attacks that we are seeing on our military inside the U.S. This happened inside Washington, D.C. We're also getting a major warning from the FBI that they thwarted another attack as well, too, that was supposed to happen on New Year's. So let's get into all the details here. You guys can see it says exclusive. This is coming out of the Daily Caller. It says anti-military sentiment. Space Force officers lose home and family cat in targeted arson attack. All right, somebody attacked their home in Washington, D.C. They burned it to the ground. They destroyed their cars. This is crazy. And they even lost a petromet. And this happened over the holidays, over the past week. This is absolutely sickening and insane that this is happening to our military. All right, there are active people in the U.S. targeting them. It says 2 Space Force officers lost their home and their family cat in what appears to be a targeted attack just days after Christmas. In an exclusive interview with the Daily Caller, Major Jason, quote, Red Mills detailed how his house had been burglarized and lit on fire and had been vandalized. While he and his wife and his 10-month-old daughter were celebrating Christmas in Florida, Mills awoke to a 5 a.m. phone call on December 28th from the D.C. police notifying him that his house had been set on fire. He later learned that his car had also been ransacked and vandalized with the messages reading F Trump and F you spaceman and F the USDS, which could stand for the United States Doge Service. All right. This is pretty insane. You guys can see here's the picture of his cars. It said Mill's car was found vandalized with, quote, FU spaceman on it. Pretty wild. All right. This is
right. So you can check the video out, but as you can see, and I seen a brother, talking about this, they're trying to, make Jake the face of it. All right. That somehow Jake is able to, get, weapons and cause, T events, which has never happened, right? It has never happened, but now all of a sudden it's happening, right? And pretty soon, Amos and 11, the famine of the word will come, right? And we won't be able to give out this message because the city is going to be troubled, right? And different things. So, we're definitely moving towards that time. Continuing with this.
¡Qué locura! Mocaí. Mira esa mierda, explotaron allá toda esa mierda porque tú no estás explotando.
Mierda, marico, se prendió el peo y esa mierda, yo.
Trump wants the Nobel Peace Prize, right, guys? He's been begging for the Nobel Peace Prize, right, guys?
Marico, llegamos a tiempo a la casa, yo.
Marico, mira esa mierda.
Why has the United States Army done this? The United States military is now controlled by one individual man. Congress decided to vote down the War Resolutions Act, which essentially Congress gave up their power to declare war. It is now in the hands of the Führer only. So the Führer, Donald Trump, he can decide whether or not we as a nation go to war. And he has decided that because we are going to war with Iran, that we should also go to war with Venezuela. Please don't forget that the president of the United States is compromised through blackmail that was gathered by Jeffrey Epstein, who worked for Mossad. This compromising or compromat is videos of the president of the United States having sex with children. He is a sex trafficking pedophile. And Jeffrey Epstein gathered these videos from Mossad or for Mossad. He also sold them to the Russians. And now Donald Trump is a complete baby back bitch being blackmailed by the nation of Israel. Israel wants to bomb Iran again and do regime change in order to create the Greater Israel Project, where they conquer the entire Middle East. When Israel bombs Iran again, which will probably be in the next 2 or 3 days, Iran is going to annex the Strait of Hormuz and stranglehold the flow of oil coming out of the Middle East. Donald Trump and his fascist regime is aware of this, so they have decided to get themselves a secondary source of oil, that being the nation of Venezuela. So in preparation for the upcoming giant global war in the Middle East, we have begun a war with Venezuela to harvest their natural resources.
Right. And it makes sense. We understand and know that America is going to be dragged to this war. Right. We understand and know, pursuant to Ezekiel 38, that Iran is going to be a part of this war with Russia. Right. So it makes sense what he said, so I thought I'd go ahead and play that part. This is Jeremiah 50 and 45. It says, therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, that he have taken against Babylon and his purposes that he proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. It says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. The least of the flock is talking about the 1948ers, right? Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. And ultimately, America has been moving on the behalf of these 1948ers for a while, right? The many different wars America has been in has been because of the 1948ers, right? So, that's pretty much happening. Once again, breaking news, wars, rumors of wars. This is Matthew 24:3. It says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Yahweh shall answer and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am anointed, and shall deceive many. Right. So you got your false prophets rising up, teaching damnable heresies, right? False doctrines, right? It says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, see that ye not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For a nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall he deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Right, and that's that the grab it right here. Sit down here. What is this? When the enemy comes in, and we're hated, all the Israelites are hated. Right? You don't know you're Israelite, right? Because we have the blessing, and these devils want that blessing back to get that divine kingdom that I was mentioned earlier, but they can't have it. They can't get it. But they're going to try to. In the second Ezra 16:6, it says, "For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle their things offered unto idols. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and reproach and trodden underfoot." Yeah, ultimately they want to chip you over the MOTP, right? So that way you belong to them, right? And they want to, try to offset prophecy this way, which is a foolish thought, right? Is you can't do it, all right? But and they're thinking they're going to try, all right? It says, "For there shall be in every place in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord." Right? Yahweh Bashim Shai. "For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of the houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried in the fire as the gold and fire. Because ultimately the Most High Yahweh Bashim Shai will lift up a standard, right, for his elect chosen. You know what I'm saying? And know that a few of us will be beheaded, just like in times past. All right? It says, but the dead, scripture say, but the dead in Yahweh shall rise first. All right? It says, Matthew 24:9, "Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many." This is the year of the false prophets, apostates, and all of those things being revealed. "And because of iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come." Right? And we're looking like we're in that time, right? We have the www, the World Wide Web, YouTube, and all these different things. Everyone knows about the Hebrew Israelites, right? Everyone knows the message, and now these prophecies are popping off. World War III, MOTV, Jacob's Trouble, right? So once again, breaking news, want to trumpet on this. Shalom to the whole elect, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.